So today we're tackling Shakespeare's The Tempest. But here's the twist. We're not going to treat it just as a play. No, we're going to look at it as a powerful parable. You know, a story about control, about what happens when one person gets absolute authority, and that raw human hunger for power. So yeah, let's dive into this crazy magical island and see what it can teach us about our own world.
All right, so we're going to break this parable down into 6 parts. First, we'll get to know the island's ruler and where his power really comes from. Then, we'll see how a little rebellion starts to bubble up. We'll follow the plot, watch how magic totally messes with it, figure out what it all means, and then we get to the big finale, a massive choice between revenge and forgiveness.
But before we get into all that, let me ask you something. Just think about it. If you had total, absolute power over your very own world, what would you do with it? Seriously, would you be a good ruler, a tyrant? Keep that question in mind, because it is right at the heart of this whole story.
All right, let's set the scene. Our story all goes down on this remote, isolated island. But this isn't just some random island. It's a world that's been carefully built and is completely controlled by one guy. This is his kingdom, his personal garden, and he is the absolute master.
And that guy's name is Prospero. So get this. He used to be the Duke of Milan, but he got betrayed by his own brother. He was overthrown, tossed out to sea, and basically left for dead on this island. But he didn't just survive, oh no. He completely mastered his new home, turning it into his own private little kingdom. He's like a master puppeteer, and this whole island, it's his stage. Every single thing that happens because he wants it to.
So how does he have all this power? I mean, he doesn't have an army or some fancy title anymore. His authority, the thing that lets him command the wind, the waves, the spirits on the island, it all comes from one place. His books, his magic books. That knowledge is literally the key to his entire kingdom. It's power you get from your brain, something you can study and master, and this is super important, it's something that can be stolen.
And with that power, he's built this super rigid social structure. It's a pyramid, right? At the very, very top, you've got Prospero, the master. Just below him, there's Ariel, this powerful spirit who owes him big time and has to do what he says. And then way down at the bottom, you have Caliban. He was on the island first, and now he's just a bitter, angry slave. Every single relationship is built on this master-servant thing.
But, you know, no matter how tight your grip is, a system of absolute control never, ever goes unchallenged for long. And those seeds of rebellion, well, they're about to sprout in the one person who has the most reason to hate the guy in charge.
Okay, so let's talk about Caliban. The people who enslaved him call him a monster, and yeah, he is filled with this deep, simmering rage. And can you blame him? This island was his. It was his home way before Prospero ever showed up. From his point of view, Prospero isn't some master you're supposed to obey. He's an invader who stole his land and made him a slave. And all those attempts by Prospero to educate him, to Caliban, that just feels like another way to control him, you know? It just makes the whole thing feel even worse.
So then 2 guys from a shipwreck wash up on shore, a drunk butler named Stefano and a jester named Trinculo. And Caliban, he sees his chance. Now let's be clear, this is not an alliance of brilliant political minds. It's a kind of funny but also pretty dangerous group, held together by a love of booze and the smell of a power vacuum.
And here, in his desperate search for a new leader, literally anyone other than Prospero, Caliban makes a huge mistake. Completely blinded by alcohol and maybe a little bit of hope, he looks at this drunk butler, Stefano, and thinks he's a god. So he immediately swears to serve him. I mean, think about that. He just trades one master for a much, much dumber one. It just goes to show you, when you're desperate to escape, sometimes you run right into an even worse situation.
So now that he has his new gods, Caliban's not just looking for a new boss, he wants payback. And he actually has a very specific and surprisingly smart plan to get it.
The plan is pretty simple, but it's also brutally effective. Step 1, and this is the big one, get the magic books. Step 2, attack Prospero when he's most vulnerable, which, hilariously, is during his afternoon nap. You know, a perfect symbol of human weakness. And Step 3, set up a new government, with Stefano as the king and Prospero's daughter, Miranda, as his queen.
And this is what's so wild. Caliban, the guy they call a monster, is the one who gets it. He has the sharpest insight here. He knows Prospero wasn't born with his power. It's all in those books. He even uses his own words, his deep knowledge of the island, to manipulate these 2 drunks. He understands the fundamental rule. Take away the source of someone's power, and the all-powerful master, he's just a regular guy. Helpless.
But of course, Prospero is the master of this island for a reason. He's always one step ahead, and his plan for dealing with this little coup isn't going to be about brute force, nope. It's going to be something way more subtle, a perfect flex of his magical power.
And this is where Ariel comes in. Remember that spirit? Ariel is basically Prospero's invisible spy, his loyal hound, his secret agent. Ariel follows these clumsy plotters around, reporting every single thing they do. Prospero doesn't even need to be there. His control is so complete it works through his magical servants.
So instead of just attacking them head-on, Ariel launches this crazy psychological campaign. There's mysterious music and weird noises that totally freak out the drunk guys. Ariel even starts imitating their voices, whispering things to make them fight each other. It's an absolute masterclass in using illusions and messing with their heads to create total chaos, all while staying in complete control.
The result? Just pure, utter confusion. The plotters are wandering in circles, getting stuck in thorny bushes and nasty ponds, all while arguing and even hitting each other. They have absolutely no idea that an invisible force is pulling all the strings. It's a perfect example of what some call the magic of theater, using these spirits to create order out of total chaos.
Okay, so it would be really easy to just write this off as a funny side story, right? A couple of drunks and a monster failing miserably. But here's what makes it so deep. This clumsy, low-class rebellion is a perfect mirror image of a much more serious, much more sinister plot happening at the same time, somewhere else on the island.
Check this out. At the very same time Caliban is plotting to kill Prospero to get his freedom, Prospero's own brother, the noble Antonio, is plotting to kill his king, Alonso, just for cold, hard ambition. So you have the monster and the nobleman, and they are both driven by the exact same dark impulse. Kill the person in charge and take their power.
And that, right there, is the core lesson of this whole parable. That hunger for power. It doesn't care if you're rich or poor, civilized or a monster. It's a deeply human and deeply corrupting instinct, and it flourishes anytime there's a chance to grab control. It doesn't matter if you're a prince in a palace or a slave plotting in the dirt.
Which brings us to the big finale. Prospero knows everything. He knows about both plots against him. He literally holds the lives of all his enemies in the palm of his hand. His plan for revenge has worked perfectly. And now, he has to make a choice.
And here are his two paths, plain and simple. On one side, revenge. He could crush them all, keep his magic forever, and just rule the island through fear. But on the other side, there's forgiveness. He could pardon them, give up all that incredible power, and let the world go back to the way it was supposed to be.
And he chooses forgiveness. With that one decision, the entire world of the island just resets. He offers a blanket pardon, and that breaks the cycle of revenge that started this whole mess. Even Caliban feels bad, realizing how foolish it was to worship a drunk. And with that, Prospero's work is done. He gives up his magic, ready to leave the island and just be a man again.
So that leaves us with one last question to chew on. In a world that's all about power and control, who's the real monster? Is it the one in chains, fighting for their freedom? Or is it the one holding the key, pulling all the strings, making everything and everyone dance to their tune? That's a question that definitely doesn't stay on the island.